If you want laser-like precision on a tennis court, stay tuned and I'll go through my top 5 precision rackets. So not only do you need to be precise with your tennis, but you also need to be precise with your cursor. So get precise, go all the way down there and click on the subscribe. Think of that real pro standard. Think of Roger Federer, those thin beams, small head sizes, and tiny, sweeter than sweet spots. That's what we're getting in precision rackets. Generally heavier, generally harder to wield and control, harder to create power, but when you are nailing the ball, these are the rackets that give you ultimate precision and really elevate your game to the next level. Precision rackets are the rackets of the pros. And for those that have got egos big enough to think that they can play like the pros. Even when you think Andy Murray is using a radical, he's not. He's basically using a precision racket dressed up like a radical. Shh, it's a secret. These are the rackets of rackets. Let's get into them. In at number 5 is Babolat's Pure Strike 97. This is the new version of the Pure Strike, and what they tried to do in this one, despite it looking exactly like the old version, is to just soften up a little bit. Often described as being a bit unforgiving, not much feedback. Babolat have really worked to create better feeling through the hand in this racket, and they've succeeded. Not a racket that I've loved previously, but this new version is very, very nice. Feels much softer in the hand, feels like you've got much better feel on it, as well as that laser-like precision that you'd expect. It's 310 grams with that very saucy leather grip on there, giving it some extra weight down in the handle. It's a 16-20 string pattern, so a tighter string pattern, the extra cross in there, giving that tighter string bed for more control. It's obviously got NF2 tech, FSI control frame technology, and it all makes for a fantastic racket, the Pure Strike 97 from Babolat. Those of you that have watched our videos before will know that I'm a big fan of Yonex, so it is no surprise that in at number 4 is the Yonic Percept 97. Yonex has a full range, different weights in the Percept. The 97 is in at number 4. Now, what I love about the Percept is how forgiving it is. Now, these precision rackets are often very difficult to use, and the Percept doesn't feel that way. The Percept feels actually, to me, very close to something like a Blade or something like that, which is a little bit more forgiving than you'd expect. The 97 is terrific. Obviously, 97 square inch head, hence the name 97. Who would have thought? It's also 310 grams, so a little heavier than you might expect from something like a Blade, and a 16 by 19 pattern, so quite a standard pattern, which again allows for that sort of extra forgiveness, extra little bit of power, and it makes for a terrific, really playable precision racket. And if I was going on my most playable, easy to use precision frames, this would be it. The Yonic Percept 97 in at number 4. On to the podium, and in at number 3 is the Head Prestige. And doesn't it look prestigious? That sort of burgundy, everything dark. It's like a sort of smoky members club where probably women aren't allowed, which we don't approve of. But yes, a very classy looking racket. Now, the one I've chosen is the Prestige Tour. And the Head Prestige range is quite a wild ride. With each frame you get different string patterns, different weights, different balance points, different head sizes. And this is a 95 square inch head, so really, really small. Don't really get many commercial rackets at that sort of head size. Very small head, so it makes for a very small sweet spot. But what that does mean is that the sweet spot is ultra sweet. Like the strawberries at Wimbledon, this racket sweet spot is absolutely phenomenal. So I think part of the reason that I like the Tour version of the Prestige so much is that it's a 16-19 pattern. In the rest of the range they flirt about with different strings in and different patterns. And this is a 16 by 19 in a 95 square inch frame, and it's 315 grams. Same weight as a Pro Staff, and a very sort of consistent weight for this style of racket. The Auxetic 2.0 really softens the feel up. You get loads of feedback. It feels really, really comfortable, and it really doesn't feel like a 95 square inch racket. Really surprising, very luxurious, very precise, and a very good racket. The Head Prestige Tour in at number 3. In at number 2, the silver medal goes to Japan, and it goes to Yonex, and the Percept is back, this time in the heavy, heavy boy. This is the 97H, and it's a whopping 330 grams. 97 square inch head, 330 grams, but it's a 1619 pattern, so quite sort of simple. And again, it affords it some sort of accessibility. It doesn't feel difficult to play with. It doesn't feel like a real nightmare. Yes, it is heavy, and if you can't get that swing going, especially on serves and things like that with that sort of weight, it can be tricky to tame. But it feels very, very comfortable. It feels maneuverable, as well as having the precision that you want. Loving Roger Federer, like so many, we've all tried to play with the Pro Staff RF, which is at 340 grams, and it feels incredibly difficult. And the surprising and amazing thing about the Percept 97H is that it doesn't feel that it's weight. What you do get with that weight is greater stability on volleys, greater stability in general, added to that precision. And when you get that weight flying around, you're creating massive power as well as that precision. Again, an absolutely fantastic racket from Yonex, and one that is very close to being my number 1 in this, but also very close to being my number 1 overall. There you go. The Percept 97H, absolutely terrific. A surprisingly light feeling, really heavy racket. In at number 2. In at number 1, as always, I'm going to wait for the drum roll. There we have it. It is, of course, it can only be one racket. If we're talking about precision, it can only be one. It is, of course, the Wilson Pro Staff. This is the 97, the most classic frame in its new-ish desert brown. I preferred it in the black, but there you go. The sort of ultimate classic precision frame. Again, what I like about it is the 1619 pattern, slightly more open, rather than sort of constricting the string bed and letting the strings do the controlling, doing the precision element of it. The racket does it. So you've got 16x19 pattern, 97 square inch head, 315 grams, and it is absolutely sweeter than anything when you get it right. Yes, it's not always easy to get it right. It is not an easy racket. This is certainly not a racket This is certainly not a racket I would recommend for, I can't get that out. This is certainly not a racket I would recommend for beginners or intermediates, although we have had some beginners come in and buy them just because they wanted to be like Roger, and who can blame them? This is a racket for advanced players, solid technique, striking the ball really cleanly, because when you strike it cleanly, it is absolutely sensational. Used by Roger Federer, obviously, Pete Sampras. Many, many greats have chosen the Pro Staff as their frame because it is that precise, classic ball striker's frame that I wish I could play better with. So my number 1 overall precision racket is, of course, the Wilson Pro Staff 97. At this point, it's also worth shouting out that the X, which is new to this range, new to version 14, is really, really good entry level into the Pro Staff, but you can't beat the 97. Oh, and the 97L is fantastic as well. If you want that smaller head size, if you want the precision, you don't. Ridiculous. Learn how to drive. Get out first. The 97, if the 97 is too heavy for you, the 97L is also fantastic. It keeps all that precision in, but it just reduces the weight and therefore reduces the swing weight and makes it easier to maneuver. But there is only one. It is the Wilson Pro Staff 97, 315 grams, 16x19, 97 square inch head, the best precision racket in my mind that you can buy. So try it out. So those are my top 5 precision rackets. If you are ready to wield these rackets, then I'd suggest you look no further than these 5, and obviously especially the Pro Staff 97. You won't generate loads of power easily. You won't get loads of spin easily, but all of these things are available to you once you're able to manage these rackets. So if you're ready for a precision racket, these are the ones for you. As always, it's really important that you try them. Don't just take my word for it. Get onto court, demo a racket, and try them out for yourself. You might be surprised how easily you can tame them. You might find that you can't tame them at all and you need to stick with what you've got. But get on court and give it a try. As always, like, follow, share, subscribe, and you'll never miss a thing from PH Tennis.